Hello, and welcome to Introduction to Psychology. This presentation will explore the topic of social psychology. The presentation will follow the outline shown. It will begin by addressing the question of what is social psychology. It will then look at three aspects of social psychology: social thinking, which is reasoning about the social world; social relations, which is connecting with other people; and social influences, which is being affected by other people. Social psychology is the scientific study of how the thoughts, feelings, and behaviors of people are influenced by others. That is, it is the branch of psychology that realizes that we don't exist independently. We aren't completely autonomous. Instead, we are influenced by the people around us, and we in turn influence them. The first aspect of social psychology that this presentation will examine is social thinking, reasoning about the social world. One element of reasoning about the social world is forming attitudes. Attitudes are positive or negative evaluations of people, things, ideas, or issues. That is, they are positive or negative appraisals. These appraisals might be of people, for example, your attitude towards Elvis Presley. They might be of things, for example, your attitude towards notepads. They might be of ideas, for example, your attitude towards a proposed new website. Or they might be of issues, for example, your attitude towards climate change. Attempt the exercise shown. Do you like or dislike Michael Jackson? Why? The answers that you arrive at are likely to illustrate the things on which attitudes are based. Our evaluations of people, things, ideas, or issues, our attitudes, are based on three types of information: affective, behavioral, and cognitive information. These are known as the ABCs of attitudes. To illustrate, a person's attitude towards Michael Jackson might be based on affect, that is, how Michael Jackson makes them feel. For example, his young, good-looking face might make a person feel attraction, a positive appraisal, while his old, weird-looking face might make a person feel revulsion, a negative appraisal. A person's attitude towards Michael Jackson might be based on behavior, how Michael Jackson has made them act in the past. For example, he may have made them get up and dance in the past, from which they would infer that they must like him. Or he may have made them leave the dance floor in the past, from which they would infer that they must dislike him. It should be noted that the process of inferring one's internal states, your emotions, attitudes, or beliefs, from one's behaviors is known as self-perception. According to self-perception theory, when people are unsure of their attitudes, they deduce what their attitudes must be from their actions. For example, a person might conclude that they must like cotton because they wear it a lot, or that they must like salt because they eat it a lot. Finally, a person's attitude towards Michael Jackson might be based on cognition, what they know about him. For example, they might know that he donated to 39 different charities, causing them to like him. Or they might know that he was suspected of child abuse, causing them to dislike him. Attitudes are often based on a mix of data, both positive and negative, drawn from one or more of the three types of information. For example, a person might arrive at an evaluation of cars being good based on predominantly positive data, such as them being useful and exciting, which outweighs some negative data, such as them being bad for the environment. A second topic related to attitudes is the topic of persuasion. Persuasion is the deliberate effort to change someone's attitude via the transmission of a message. That is, changing someone's mind using words or pictures. Messages can take on many forms. Examples of persuasive messages include adverts, health campaigns, speeches, and political arguments. According to the Yale attitude change model, all messages have a source, the sender of the message. They have content, the ingredients of the message, and an audience, the recipient of the message. For example, the alcohol advert shown in the slide has a source. It was made by the drinks manufacturer. It has content. It has photos and a slogan, and it has an audience, anybody seeing the advert. The elaboration likelihood model is a model outlining the two different ways in which people can process persuasive messages, depending on their ability and motivation. Here's an example of a persuasive message concerning the wearing of cycling helmets. Some people care about this issue and have the knowledge and mental capacity to reason about it. For example, keen cyclists or parents of children who cycle will consider this to be an important issue. They will have some knowledge about it, and they will be clever enough to think about the issue. Such people, those who are high in motivation and ability, will process the message via the central route. That is, they will attend to the argument, the factual content laid out in the message. The factual content in the example message is circled. The factual content reads, "A fatal injury is 20 times more likely without a safety helmet. Wearing a helmet can reduce the risk of fatal injury by 85%. People who consider the wearing of safety helmets to be an important issue will attend to this argument. They will consider whether they think the factual content is correct, whether the argument is logical, and whether the argument is strong. If people are convinced by the arguments in messages, then this leads to enduring resistant attitude change that is strongly predictive of behavior. That is, they will be persistently in favor of wearing safety helmets, they will be unlikely to change their minds on the issue, and they will be likely to actually use helmets. It should be noted that persuasion via the central route is relatively hard to achieve. Some people will not care about an issue. It will be unimportant to them. For example, the issue of helmet wearing is unimportant to non-cyclists and to people who do not know any cyclists. Such people, those who are low in motivation, will process the message via the peripheral route. That is, they will attend to the superficial features of the message. The superficial features of the example message are circled. These include a funny slogan, a smiling face, an order given by a mother, and the official logo of the American Association of Neurological Surgeons. People who consider the wearing of safety helmets to be an unimportant issue will attend to these superficial features. The funny caption might put them in a good mood, making them well disposed towards wearing helmets. The smiling face might suggest to them that wearing helmets has a positive outcome, putting them in favour of helmets. Or the logo might cause people to apply the rule of thumb that experts know best, also putting them in favour of helmets. If people are swayed by the superficial features of a message, then this leads to transient, vulnerable attitude change that is weakly predictive of behaviour. That is, they will be briefly in favour of wearing safety helmets, however, they could easily change their minds and they would be unlikely to actually use helmets. It should be noted that persuasion via the peripheral route is relatively easy to achieve. The second phenomenon related to attitudes is cognitive dissonance. Attempt the exercise shown. Do you like or dislike these animals? Now continue the exercise. Do you eat meat? Most people have a positive attitude towards the animals shown. Most people like the cute piglets, chicks, and calves. However, most people also eat meat. If you are one of these people, how does this inconsistency make you feel? How do you cope with this feeling? If you are a vegetarian, put yourself in the shoes of a meat eater in order to answer the questions. The previous exercise illustrates the phenomenon of cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance is the emotional distress experienced by a person who simultaneously holds two or more contradictory beliefs, attitudes, or behaviors. It is the arousal and upset we feel whenever our beliefs, attitudes, and/or behaviors do not match. That is, when they do not logically flow from one another. For example, a person who liked animals but also ate meat would feel distress because the two things don't logically follow. Cognitive dissonance motivates people to change either their beliefs, their attitudes, or their behaviors. To illustrate, the person in our example could feel less distressed if they changed their behavior, if they stopped eating meat. They could feel less distressed if they changed their attitude, if they decided that they didn't like the animals. Or they could feel less distressed if they changed their beliefs, if they chose to believe that eating meat was healthy or good for the economy or something similar.